Some of you are carrying visions that feel too big for your current life. You see something in your heart that nobody around you seems to understand. You feel called to build something, to create something, to serve people, to feed people, to heal something, to restore something, to help the meek rise, to build the kingdom. And maybe right now nobody is clapping. Maybe nobody is watching. Maybe nobody is investing. Maybe nobody is calling. Maybe nobody is opening the door. Maybe you've been building in silence for years, feeling isolated, ignored, overlooked, and misunderstood. But I want to tell you something before we talk about agriculture, food systems, farmers, shopkeepers, organic farming, or the future of Africa. The vision placed inside your heart is not there to mock you. It is not there to tease you. It is not there to torture you with a future you can never touch. Sometimes that vision is an assignment from the Creator. Sometimes that vision is God showing you what is possible for your life. Sometimes that vision is a glimpse of the work you were born to carry. And I need to be honest with you. Over the last week, my tremors have come back. Not like they were before in America, thank God. They are still much better than they were back then. But they have been more present again. And I don't know exactly what is causing it. Maybe it's the storms. Maybe it is the physical activity I've been doing. Maybe it's because I'm speaking more. Maybe it is being around more people more frequently. Maybe it is the energy it takes to keep showing up, teaching, filming, documenting, and carrying this message. I'm not completely sure, but I do know this. These are the same kinds of things that once forced me into isolation. There was a season when being around people, speaking, being on camera, and trying to function publicly became extremely difficult for me. There were days when my body felt like a prison. There were days when I had moments of peace. And then moments of pure turmoil inside my body. There were days when I thought I was dying. More than once. There were days when I said my goodbyes in my heart because I truly thought it was over. And lately, because the tremors have been more active again, I've had to protect myself better. I have had to be more careful. I've had to choose when I get on camera. I've had to wait for the moments when they were not as intense. I've had to listen to my body. And at the same time, I have still been carrying this desire to record this message. Because I know this is part of what I'm called to do. This is the tension of purpose. Sometimes purpose does not wait until your body feels perfect. Sometimes purpose does not wait until your life is convenient. Sometimes purpose does not wait until every symptom disappears, every fear is gone, every bill is paid, every door is open, and every person understands you. Sometimes purpose keeps calling when you are still shaking. And I mean that literally. I remember when this dream first started. I'd already had to overcome so much. Mental health battles, trauma, drug abuse, addiction, homelessness, loss, shame, rebuilding my life from places I once thought I would never survive. And just when I felt like maybe I was finally free, just when I felt like I was home free, these tremors started in January of 2024. And I thought it was over for me. I spent years building in silence when I was able-bodied. Years working, creating, speaking, producing, trying to help people understand the future of media. And then suddenly, when it seemed like the vision should should have been moving forward, my body began to betray me. The tremors became so bad that I lost the ability to speak in a way I once could. And for someone whose calling is connected to voice, media, testimony, storytelling, and communication, that felt devastating. It felt cruel. It felt like the very thing I was created to do was being taken from me. But what I thought was the end was actually the beginning of another door. Because when I could not speak the way I wanted to speak, I wrote. When I could not show up on camera the way I wanted to show up, I built. When my body limited me, my purpose found another path. That is when Media Company in a Box was written. That is when The Bridge to Media Empowerment was written. That is when book after book came out of me. 9 other books that year. Not because life was easy, not because I felt strong, not because I had everything together, but because when everything felt like it was being taken away from me, the one thing that remained was my purpose. My voice was shaking, my body was shaking, my life was shaking. But the assignment was still standing. And that is what I want somebody to hear today. You may think it is over, but it may be the beginning. You may think the limitation is the end of your dream, but it may be the pressure that forces the dream into new form. You may think the door is closed, but God may be moving you toward a door you never would have walked through while everything was comfortable. When I thought I was done, the doors started opening. When I thought my voice had been taken, my message became clear. When I thought my body had disqualified me, God showed me that purpose is not limited by the body the way people think it is. When I thought I was losing everything, the work began to bear fruit. And then came opportunities I could not have manufactured on my own. Speaking at the United Nations for the first time, doors opening that I never expected, people beginning to talk about the very things I had been talking about for years. Hollywood, media, news, technology, AI, creators becoming media companies, ownership, intellectual property, personal brands, one-person media organizations. These are not new messages to me. I've been carrying this for years. I've been teaching this for years. I've been building this for years. I've been giving away resources for years. And now I'm in Africa, a dream I have carried since I was a child. I did not fully understand what it was then. I did not know why Africa was in my heart. I did not know why I felt called here. But over the last 11 years, it has become more and more clear. And now, being here in Cameroon, meeting people, teaching, listening, learning, documenting, and seeing the land. The farmers, the youth, the mothers, the builders, the creators, the leaders, and the communities. I understand more than ever. This was never just about me. This was never just about a podcast. This was never just about a book. This was never just about a platform. This was always about the assignment. So if you are building in silence right now, if your body is fighting you, if your mind is fighting you, if your past is trying to shame you, if your circumstances are trying to convince you that you missed your moment, if people do not understand what God placed inside you, do not give up. Do not give up. Do not throw away the vision because the harvest has not appeared yet. Do not confuse delay with denial. Do not confuse isolation with abandonment. Do not confuse limitation with disqualification. Do not confuse shaking with failure. Sometimes the seed has to be buried before it breaks through. Sometimes the builder has to be hidden before the structure is revealed. Sometimes God gives you just enough for today because today is the only step you are supposed to carry right now. Keep going, keep building, keep believing, keep learning, keep serving, keep planting, because vision is a seed, and every seed has a season. That is why this episode matters so much to me, because today we are talking about agriculture. We are talking about food. We are talking about farmers. We are talking about shopkeepers. We are talking about organic farming. We are talking about avoiding dependency on GMO systems. We are talking about protecting the seed. We are talking about clean food, local ownership, regenerative agriculture, and rebuilding communities from the ground up. I believe these conversations are also vision. They are not just business ideas. They are not just agriculture ideas. They are not just media topics. These are assignments. They are glimpses of what is possible when communities begin to believe that God has more for them than survival. There is something powerful happening in Africa, and it may not look like what the world expects. It may not begin in a government office. It may not begin in a foreign boardroom. It may not begin with a billionaire investor, a global summit, or another promise from people who do not live close to the land. It may begin with a farmer protecting the seed. It may begin with a mother choosing clean food for her children. It may begin with a young person who decides agriculture is not something to run from, but something to rebuild. It may begin with a small shopkeeper who says, I can feed my neighborhood. I can serve my community. I can build something right here. That is why I believe this conversation is so important, because sometimes the future does not arrive loudly. Sometimes the future sits quietly on a shelf in a small shop. Sometimes it is planted in soil before anyone celebrates it. Sometimes it is carried in the hands of people the world has ignored. And today, I want to speak directly to the farmers. I want to speak directly to the shopkeepers, the mothers, the youth, the local builders, the visionaries, and the communities who still believe that Africa can feed itself, heal itself, and own more of its future. Because this episode is not just about distribution. It's not just about retail. It's not just about agriculture. This is about rebuilding the chain from the ground up, from the seed to the soil, to the farmer, to the processor, to the shopkeeper, to the family table. Before we talk about solutions, we have to be honest about the contradiction. How can a community grow food but still struggle to afford food? How can a village produce crops but still lack access to basic processed products? How can Africa export cocoa, coffee, cassava, palm, maize, fruits, vegetables, rice, sugar, and raw agriculture value, but still have local communities where small shops struggle to stock affordable goods? How can the people closest to the soil, the people closest to the harvest, the people closest to the source, still be treated like they are far away from the value? That is the question. And today, on the World's Mayor Experience, I want to talk about something that is bigger than selling products. This is about food access. This is about clean food. This is about organic farming. This is about protecting the seed. This is about protecting local ownership. This is about the shopkeeper. This is about the farmer. This is about the mother feeding her children. This is about the small retailer trying to survive. This is about whether African communities will only export raw value or finally build systems that feed and strengthen the communities inside the value chain. What's up, everyone? This is Joshua T. Berglan, the world's mayor, coming to you from Limbe, Cameroon. And this is the World's Mayor Experience. Not just a podcast, not just a show, not just a digital platform. The World's Mayor Experience is the life I live, the people I meet, the stories I document, the lessons I learn, and the truth I'm committed to carrying. It is also the platform where these stories live digitally at joshuatberglan.com. This episode is called The Shopkeeper Revolution: How local retail can rebuild African communities. Because if we are going to talk about agriculture in Africa, we cannot only talk about farms. We cannot only talk about exports. We cannot only talk about raw commodities leaving the continent. We cannot only talk about production for someone else's market value. We also have to talk about what happens inside the communities that produce the value. Who gets fed? Who gets access? Who gets stocked? Who gets supplied? Who gets ownership? Who gets the opportunity to build a small business from the food systems around them? This is where the conversation becomes very real. Because in places like Bamenda, Douala, Limbe, Yaoundé, Bafut, and so many communities beyond, the future of agriculture is not only in the field. It is also in the small shop. It is in the roadside store. It is in the neighborhood market. It is in the hands of the local retailer. It is in the woman selling food products to feed her family. It is in the young person who wants to start a business but does not have access to consistent supply. It is in the community distributor who understands the streets, the people, the needs, and the rhythm of daily life. And that is why this conversation matters. Because the shopkeeper is not small. The shopkeeper is the last mile of food sovereignty. Let me say that again. The shopkeeper is the last mile of food sovereignty. A farmer can grow, a processor can package, a distributor can move. But if the product does not reach the local shop, the local market, the local mother, the local family, the local school, and the local community, then the system is still incomplete. Africa does not only need to produce more, Africa needs to circulate more value inside Africa. And this is one of the shocking truths. A continent can be rich in agriculture production and still be poor in local food access. If the system is built to move value out faster than it builds value within, that is the problem. When raw commodities leave communities without enough processing, branding, packaging, distribution, retail access, and local ownership, then the community becomes the source of value, but not the beneficiary of value. That is not a food system. That is a drain. And that is why local distribution matters. That is why agro-processing matters. This is why small shops matter. This is why local retailers matter. This is why organic and regenerative farming matter. This is why avoiding dependency on GMO systems matter. This is why seed sovereignty matters. Because the question is not only, can Africa produce? Africa already produces. The deep question is, can Africa own, protect, process, distribute, and benefit from what it produces? That is the real conversation. Now, I want to be very clear. When I talk about avoiding GMOs, I'm not here to create fear for the sake of fear. I'm not here to attack science. I'm not here to shame anyone, but I do believe African farmers must be extremely careful about any system that creates dependency. Heck, that goes to anybody. Anybody. Dependency on seeds that cannot be freely saved. Dependency on chemicals that damage soil over time, like in America. Dependencies on foreign controlled inputs. Dependencies on contracts that farmers do not fully understand. Dependency on systems that promise higher yield today but may reduce freedom tomorrow. That is a concern. That is the concern. Because agriculture is not only about what grows this season. Agriculture is about what remains possible for the next generation. If a farmer loses control of a seed, if a farmer loses control of soil health, if a farmer loses control of local knowledge, if a farmer loses control of what they plant, how they plant, and who they must buy from every season, then that farmer may still be working the land, but they are no longer fully free. That is why organic farming matters. This is why regenerative agriculture matters. This is why indigenous knowledge matters. This is why soil health matters. This is why natural systems matter. This is why Africa must not casually trade seed sovereignty for short-term promises. Because Africa's strength is not only in land, it's in biodiversity, it's in tradition, it's in climate wisdom, it's in farmer knowledge, it is in local seeds. It is in the ability to grow food in ways that protect soil, water, health, and community. The world is waking up to organic food. The world is waking up to regenerative farming. The world is waking up to soil health. The world is waking up to clean food. The world is waking up to the danger of overprocessed, chemically dependent, industrial food systems. So why should Africa abandon what the world is now trying to return to? That is a serious question. If the global market is increasingly hungry for organic, natural, traceable, ethical, and regenerative products, then African farmers should not be pushed into systems that make them dependent, invisible, or disconnected from the very value the world is beginning to demand. Africa should lead the clean food future. Africa should lead organic agriculture. Africa should lead regenerative farming. Africa should lead local food sovereignty. Africa should lead natural product development. Africa should lead community-based distribution. Africa should lead from the soil to the shop. And that brings us back to the Shopkeeper Revolution. Because farming does not become community power until the value reaches the community. Imagine a new distribution model across Cameroon. Imagine basic agro-processed products moving into shops in Bamenda, Douala, Limbe, Yaoundé, Bafut, and beyond. Products connected to local farmers. Products built around organic and regenerative values. Products that help small shop owners start, survive, and expand. Products that help keep more money circulating locally. Products that strengthen trust between producers, processors, distributors, and retailers. Products that are not just imported into communities, but built from the communities. That is powerful. Because the small shop is more than a place to buy things. The small shop is community infrastructure. It is where people gather. It is where mothers buy what they need. It is where children are sent for food. It is where neighbors talk. It's where trust is built. It is where local money changes hands. It is where small business ownership begins. So, when we strengthen the shopkeeper, we strengthen the community. When we strengthen the local retailer, we strengthen the local economy. When we connect farmers to processors, processors to distributors, distributors to shop owners, and shop owners to families, we are not just moving products. We are building economic circulation. And economic circulation is one of the missing pieces. Because if money enters a community and leaves immediately, the community stays weak. If raw crop leaves and finished goods return at higher prices, the community stays dependent. If farmers sell low and families buy high, the system is broken. If shop owners cannot access supply, they can't grow. If youth cannot see the opportunity in agriculture, retail, logistics, media, and distribution, they're going to look elsewhere. But what if we change that? Seriously, what if we change that? What if agriculture was not only farms? What if agriculture was also about processing? What if agriculture was also about packaging? What if agriculture was also local branding? What if agriculture was also small shops? What if agriculture was also community distribution? What if agriculture was also clean food? What if agriculture was also organic trust? What if agriculture was also youth entrepreneurship? What if agriculture was also women-owned retail? What if agriculture was also media storytelling? Then agriculture becomes more than a sector. It becomes a community rebuilding strategy. This is where media becomes essential again, because people who need to understand the system. Farmers need to see where their crops can go. Shop owners need to see how they can participate. Young people need to see business opportunities. Banks need to see organized distribution. Local governments need to see community development. Families need to understand why clean, local, organic, and regenerative products matter. Media can do that. Media can recruit retailers. Media can tell shopkeeper stories. Media can document farmers. Media can show how products move from the farm to the shelf. Media can educate communities on food quality. Media can explain why seed sovereignty matters. Media can highlight organic practices. Media can expose the danger of dependency. Media can make the local economy visible. Because people cannot see the system, they cannot trust the system. If they cannot trust the system, they will not join the system. That is why the World's Mayor experience exists. To document, to educate, to reveal value, to elevate people who are usually ignored, to to make the invisible visible. Because this is not about promoting another business. This is not about selling hype. This is about asking, how do we build systems that feed the people who feed the world? That should be the mission. Feed the communities that feed the world. If a farming community grows food for others, that community should not be food insecure. If a region produces raw materials, that region should not lack affordable access to basic processed products. If a shopkeeper is willing to serve a community, that shopkeeper should not be blocked by a lack of supply. If a young person wants to build a business in agriculture, they should not be told farming is backward. If a mother wants clean food for her children, she should not be forced to choose between affordability and quality. That is why this matters. And we have to talk about quality, because food is not just a product. Food becomes the body. Food becomes the energy. Food becomes health. Food becomes development. Food becomes future. So when we talk about distribution, we cannot only ask, how much can we sell? We must ask, what are we feeding people? Are we feeding them clean food? Are we feeding them life? Are we feeding them something grown with respect for the soil? Are we feeding them products that strengthen the body? Are we feeding them systems that strengthen the community? Or are we copying the same industrial food mistakes that have made so many people sick, dependent, disconnected, overfed, but undernourished? Africa has an opportunity, a real big opportunity, not to repeat the mistakes of the West where I'm from, not to build food systems based only on speed, chemicals, dependency, and profit, but to build food systems based on health, soil, dignity, affordability, tradition, innovation, and ownership. That is why avoiding GMOs and staying committed to organic, regenerative, and locally rooted agriculture is not just a farming preference. It's a sovereignty decision. Because whoever controls the seed can control the farmer. Whoever controls the farmer can control the food. Whoever controls the food can control the people. That is why seed matters. That is why soil matters. That is why local farming knowledge matters. That is why shopkeepers matter. That is why local distribution matters. That is why media matters. The future of Africa's food system cannot be controlled only by global corporations, foreign markets, or distant investors. It must be shaped by farmers, shopkeepers, mothers, youth, processors, local governments, community leaders, and builders on the ground. And I believe Cameroon can be part of leading this. From Limbe to Douala, from Yaoundé, from Bamenda, from Bafut, from the villages, from the farms, from the markets, from the shops, from the hands of people who understand what their communities actually need. This is not about creating a perfect system overnight. Not at all. This is about beginning with the right values. Clean food, organic farming, regenerative soil, local ownership, fair distribution, small shop empowerment, community supply, youth opportunity, women-led enterprise, media transparency, and dignity from farm to shelf. This is why the Shopkeeper Revolution, that is the Shopkeeper Revolution, not glamorous, not loud, not always celebrating, but powerful. Because a small shop with consistent supply can change a family. A family business can change a neighborhood. A neighborhood economy can change a city. A city network can change a region. A region can change a nation. But it starts with seeing the shopkeeper differently. Not as someone small, but as a community distributor, a trust holder, a last mile leader, a local economic engine. So let this episode be a challenge to farmers. Protect your seed, protect your soil, protect your knowledge. Do not let anyone make you feel backward for farming organically, naturally, or regeneratively. The world is trying to find its way back to what many African farmers already understand. To shopkeepers, you matter. You absolutely matter. You are not just selling products. You are feeding families. You are building trust. You are keeping money moving in your community. You are part of the food system. To young people, agriculture is not just digging in the soil. It's logistics. It is retail. It is branding. It is media. It is e-commerce. It is processing. It is packaging. It is data. It is clean food. It is one of the biggest opportunities of your lifetime. To governments, do not only celebrate export numbers. Ask whether producing communities are getting stronger. Ask whether local shops are stocked. Ask whether farmers are protected. Ask whether organic and regenerative systems are being supported. Ask whether value is staying inside the country. To investors and banks, the shopkeeper matters. The small retailer matters. The community distributor matters. The local processor matters. If you want stable markets, finance the people closest to the community. To media creators, go to the shops, go to the farms, go to the markets, tell the stories, show the people, document the supply chain, make the invisible visible. And to everyone watching, look at your food differently. Look at your shopkeeper differently. Look at your farmer differently. Look at your seed differently. Because food is never just food. Food is power. Food is memory. Food is culture. Food is health. Food is economics. Food is sovereignty. The world's mayor experience will continue to document this because I believe it is one of the most important conversations of our time. Yes, I am passionate about media. Yes, I am passionate about the youth. Yes, I am passionate about helping single mothers. Yes, I am passionate about recovery, rebuilding, truth, and giving people a voice. But right now, I believe agriculture, farmers, clean food, local distribution, and food sovereignty may be one of the most important things we can focus on. Because if we get food wrong, everything else suffers. Health suffers. Families suffer. Communities suffer. Economies suffer. Children suffer. The future suffers. But if we get food right, if we protect the seed, if we honor the farmer, if we strengthen the shopkeeper, if we build local distribution, if we choose organic and regenerative systems, if we keep value circulating in the community, if we document the truth, then we do more than sell products. We build nations from the ground up. That is the message. Feed the communities that feed the world. Protect the seed, honor the soil, strengthen the shopkeeper, build the chain locally, keep the food clean, keep the value close, keep the future in the hands of the people. This is Joshua T. Berglan, the world's mayor, coming to you from Limbe, Cameroon, and this is the World's Mayor Experience. Today, I do not want to leave you with the slogan. I want to leave you with a responsibility. Support the farmer. Respect the shopkeeper. Question what is in your food. Protect organic farming. Be careful with systems that create dependency. And remember, the future of Africa may not only be planted in the field, it may also be sitting on the shelf of a small shop, waiting for a community to believe in itself again. God bless Cameroon. God bless Africa. God bless every farmer who protects the soil. God bless every shopkeeper who feeds a neighborhood. And God bless every community brave enough to build food systems that serve life, not just profit.